Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Sex Here and Now. As always, I am your host, Matt Lockman. I'm a licensed clinical therapist and ASECT certified sex therapist. Today we are talking about your parents, your caregivers, those people whose relationships you had a front row seat to growing up. I hear it all the time. My parents have been together for 30, 40, 50 years, and their love story is amazing. Or, my parents' marriage was terrible, and they fought all of the time. While your story may be similar to these or fall somewhere in between, I think it is important to start acknowledging that your relationship, the goals you have for it, and the future you want does not and should not follow the same scripts that your parents or caregivers did before you. Want to hear a cute story? My parents grew up across the street from each other. Yeah, how fucking Hallmark is that? Across the street. Their families and siblings were friends with each other. They went to the same grade school. And to top it all off, my dad was the quarterback of his high school football team, while my mom was the school nerd. I mean, can we all say she's all that? And I swear to God, if you don't know that reference, I fear for your soul. And listen, I love my parents. I really do. Their story is sweet and funny and honestly kind of absurd when you think about it. But here's the thing I had to learn as I got older: their relationship is theirs, not mine. Their strengths are theirs. Their wounds are theirs. Their communication patterns, their coping skills, their emotional blind spots, their beliefs around marriage, gender, sex, conflict, affection, all of it belongs to them. I think a lot of us unconsciously carry our parents' relationships into adulthood without realizing it. Some people spend their lives trying to recreate the love story they witnessed growing up because it felt safe or familiar. Others spend their lives running as far from it as possible because it felt painful or chaotic. But either way, your parents' relationship can quietly become the blueprint sitting underneath your own choices if you never stop to examine it. For some of you, love may have looked emotionally distant. Maybe your parents never fought, but they also never showed affection. Maybe conflict was explosive and terrifying. Maybe one parent constantly overfunctioned while the other emotionally checked out. Maybe love looked codependent or it looked transactional. Maybe you grew up believing relationships were about survival instead of connection. And then, we become adults and wonder why intimacy feels so hard, why we panic when someone gets too close, or why we shut down during conflict, why we chase unavailable people. That's a whole story for another time. Why healthy relationships sometimes feel boring while chaos feels exciting. Your nervous system learned relationship patterns long before you had language for them. But here's the hopeful part of all of this: awareness changes things. Hell, I wouldn't be a therapist if that wasn't true. Just because you inherited certain relationship scripts does not mean you are doomed to repeat them forever. You are allowed to question the dynamics you grew up around. You're allowed to build relationships differently. You are allowed to want softness if you grew up around hardness, and you're allowed to want communication if you grew up around silence. You're allowed to prioritize emotional intimacy and curiosity, boundaries, or whatever else helps you feel connected and safe. And honestly, I think one of the hardest parts to adulthood is realizing your parents were just people, flawed people trying their best with whatever emotional tools they had at the time. Some of them modeled beautiful things. Some of them modeled harmful things. Most modeled a mix of both. But either way, their relationship was never supposed to become a life sentence for yours. I wouldn't be a millennial if I didn't talk about social media either, because I also think social media makes this even harder because people love romanticizing long term relationships without actually looking at the quality of them. Someone will say, my grandparents were together for 60 years. And I'm like, okay, but like, were they happy? Were they emotionally connected? Did they feel safe with each other? Longevity alone is not the same thing as intimacy. Some people stayed together because they deeply loved each other, while others stayed because they had no choice financially, culturally, or socially. Those are very different things. Your job is not to perfectly recreate your parents' love story or spend your whole life trying to outrun it. Your job is to slow down enough to ask yourself, what kind of relationship actually aligns with who you are now? Not who your family expected you to be, not who culture told you to be, just you. Sex Here and Now is written and recorded by me, Matt Lockman. For more resources, education, or support, you can find me on all social platforms at Cleveland Sex Therapy. Thanks for being here, and as always, stay curious.